Okay, good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of Peters Township Council to order for Monday, October 14th, 2024. Mr. Lauer can call the roll, please.
Ms. Shenefeld?
Here.
Mr. Kozer?
Here.
Mr. Curran?
Here.
Mr. Steigel?
Here.
Mr. Lewis?
Here.
Mr. Ruff?
Here.
Okay, all right.
Mr. will not be here tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item on the agenda will be the approval of the minutes from the September 30th.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it carries 6-0. Special reports, not seeing any, so we'll move to audience comments. It's an opportunity for a member of the audience to address council for up to 5 minutes on a non-agenda item. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address council? Okay, seeing none, move into unfinished business. There is none. New business. Item A, be a resolution authorizing the distribution of municipal pension funds.
So each year under the General Municipal Pension System State Aid Program, municipalities receive an allocation from the state to offset pension obligations. In 2024, Peters Township has received $760,570 in state funding, and this exceeds the amount that was budgeted by over $167,000. The total pension obligation for all employees in 2024 is estimated to be $1,084,903. The township is obligated for the difference between the amount of state aid received and the actual pension obligation. State aid is aid may be allocated to pension plans at the discretion of the municipalities that received it. And since the police pension program is the only township-sponsored defined benefit plan, it makes sense for the township to deposit the bulk of the aid, $531,673 into that plan. The remainder has been used to offset pension costs for administrative and fire department employees, and it's my recommendation that Council approve Resolution 10-124 authorizing distribution of municipal pension funds.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0. Next item will be statement of minimum municipal obligation associated with employee pensions. I think you just need a motion from us stating that we are in receipt of the obligation and that it's $1,112,081 for 2025. Make a motion on that.
So moved. Second.
Motion in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries. Item C will be a special permit application for doing more for others, that is, to hold a fundraising event for the benefit of Gunny's Ridge at 179 Johnson Road, McMurray.
So it came to the township's attention that there was a fundraising event scheduled for 179 Johnston Road, and that's that location that you see there. The proposed fundraising event is scheduled for Saturday, November 16th from 5:30 to 10. Weather permitting, the event will be outdoors. If there's inclement weather, the event will be moved indoors and into the stables. The hope is to attract as many as 300 people. Entertainment will be in the form of live music and a comedian. The beneficiary of the fundraising event is Gunny Ridge, which is a not-for-profit serving the needs of veterans and first responders. The township's building inspector and fire chief have visited the site and do not have a problem from a life safety concern with using the building if the weather turns inclement. They did conclude that there may be some logistical concerns such as parking and walking along Johnson Road, and those need to be addressed. I know Mr. Centel's here tonight and he may be able to shed some light on that. We notify residents within 600 feet of the site to notify them that a special permit application was on the agenda. The township's always been supportive of charitable organizations and their effort. This event is unique in its scale and location. It's not a site in its current configuration. It's conducive to holding large special events on a regular basis. So I know one of the concerns that was expressed by the fire chief was that there's a lot of large barns in Peters Township, and there'd be a concern if these became a regular site for these type of events. It's my recommendation that council issue the special permit. subject to the condition that the organizer meet with the police chief and adhere to the recommendations for pedestrian and vehicle safety, and if deemed necessary, to have a police presence. You should know that even though this fundraiser is for first responders, your police do not have the ability to volunteer their time to do this. So if the determination is that you need to have a police presence there for pedestrian and vehicular safety, that would be a cost that would exist. Normally, the event sponsor is responsible for picking up that cost. And the other thing is that I think that there should be a requirement that the township manager report back to council after the event with any concerns or problems, so that we can make a determination going forward what we want to do in that regard. But like I said, Mr. Santel's here, and maybe he can address any concerns council might have.
Does anyone on council have any concerns?
I have one question, and maybe you could answer it, Paul, or maybe the gentleman can. I read in here that they were, you indicated they might be expecting 300 to 500 people or something like that.
300 people.
How many?
300.
300 people. What about like bathrooms? Like how are they being addressed? Are there going to be porta-johns there or anything like that?
You can have to come up to the microphone to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
If you could just state your name and address, and like, do we need them to sign in?
We'll get it.
Okay.
I'm not worried about it.
Okay. I'm Dave Santel. I own Santel Landscape and Design. My house is in 441 Limestone Drive, Bethel Park, PA. Greg Goulds helped me out. He owns Miller Hardware right here in Peters also. Just a little background. When your former chief of police, Doug Grimes, had his house slid, myself and his two siblings and brother-in-law put on a big fundraiser for him to raise. We raised about $60,000 for Chief Doug, and that's where I got my kind of first taste of helping with fundraising. My wife was the former president of the McMurray Rotary Club, and we put on a successful comedy night, and most of the money helps fund Rotary, but we designated for veterans, and we did service dogs, and we pick a charity each year to help those out. So that's my experience doing these. It's not the first time I've done something like that. With Chief Doug's, we had probably 450 people there. It was at Prout Fire Hall, and the other ones have been down at Library Fire Hall, so we had more of a conducive setting for an indoor thing. But I attended if you guys have ever heard of Pennies for Heaven, Attorney Parise puts on a big fundraiser and helps Children's Hospital patients and their families. And my wife and I attended one last year up in North Hills, and it was very similar to the setting that we have here. They had like a little stable with the gifts and the food and all that in there. They had a raffle, wine tasting, beer tasting, that type of thing, and you eat and all that. So that's kind of what I built this concept on. So that's a little background so you realize I have some experience doing this. As far as, and I do have flyers and I can give each one of you, hopefully might consider attending if we get approved. But as far as restrooms, Greg's been in contact. We're going to have, if anybody's ever been to the Gilfillan Trail, one St. Clair puts on for the historical society, they have those big trailers come in with the restrooms and all. We either have a handicap one attached to that, or we have one inside the building, which we were going to reserve at ground level for accessible restrooms too.
And all the parking is going to be on site?
Yeah, there's a lower training area.
In front of the barn?
Yes,
Right.
there's an area down below the grader area right off Thomas. That's like, I don't know what the terminology is, show area to do the horses. That's like a sand-based area. And then we have all the grass fields around there that we're going to also use if the landowners give me permission. The chief had asked me about parking if it's wet and all. I don't know if anybody's been up to any Penn State games. They park out in the fields. The only time we've ever had a problem up there, if we've had several rain games and all that, where it's been tracked. This is a one-time event, so I don't see any previous problems there. So I hope we don't have too much problem being in the landscaping business. I promise to reseed the areas up, so I'm hoping, we're hoping for a nice fall, crisp night, but if we do get a bad storm, one of the questions was Chief McLaughlin asked me about moving people inside. There's a major stable with excellent ingress and egress that we can get people in a hurry. I don't foresee any thunderstorms or tornadoes. Who knows that time of year, the way the climate's going, not like summertime where that could come up really quick on us.
All right, I'll make a motion that we authorize the special permit for Doing More for Others to hold a fundraising event for the benefit of Gunny's Ridge at 179 Johnston Road, pursuant to the conditions set forth by the Township Manager.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any other discussion? Council, the audience? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I just wanted to make the comment that, David, I've known your dad for years, and we met at the Chiefs party that we had for his house sliding down the hill. And Greg, you and I have been friends for a long time. I'm confident that they're both going to.
Appreciate that, Bob.
Appreciate it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0.
Hey, do you mind if I pass all the flyers out? Or
I think we have them, actually.
do you have the?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, within the docket.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're interested in tickets, please let us know. The Gunny's Ridge, if I could real quick say what it is, Sergeant Volchko from, he's the PennDOT cop that pulls guys like me over if we have a failure with our trucks. I met him at Chief Doug's a long time ago. And he and a group of 4 of his other friends who served some pretty hard time in Iraq. All of them have PTSD. Sergeant Volchko goes to Cleveland once a month to get shots for his shoulders and everything. And they saw there was a lot of crossover between first responders and the veterans. So there's a big initiative, and it's up in toward Burgettstown area, where they're getting a lot of state grants and all. But the idea is to have life skills as part of their rehab program. They have equine, agriculture, woodworking, a bunch of different lifetime skills, and they want them to bring their families with them to be a family event too. So it's an initiative that's founded by local guys for local vets. So all the money stays right here. So we appreciate any attendance. It's a real fun night, promise you that. And pray it doesn't rain too. So, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, David.
Okay, next item on the agenda will be an ordinance amending Section 299 of the Township Code of Ordinances, Article 2, Park Rules to regulate the electric bikes on township-owned property.
So the ordinance attempts to regulate electric bikes and other devices in the following ways. It requires electric bikes stay on paved pathways. It prohibits the use on grass, fields, and open spaces when on township-owned property. It requires operators to be at least 16 years of age. Requires wearing helmets if they're under 21. Establishes a maximum speed of 15 miles per hour. And they're not permitted to be ridden on township property after dusk. And in certain situations, parents would be held responsible if they permitted unauthorized use of the electric bicycles. The ordinance also requires us to post signage so that, in fact, people understand that there are regulations with regard to this. I think, we talked amongst ourselves here quite a bit. The thing that I don't want anyone to believe is that by adopting this ordinance, we're going to solve this problem easily, because the fact of the matter is that a lot of the activity that we're seeing, particularly when these bikes are being used on roadways, is already against the motor vehicle code, and it's just not easy to catch them. So,
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good start. Paul, like we had discussed, I think the one thing I would change right off the bat is the helmet requirement for anybody under 21. I think I'd make that 18.
I gave Kyle a series of revisions I'd like to see. I'm concerned that I think we don't differentiate between the different classifications of e-bikes in the ordinance. And depending on which class e-bike it is, certain of them can go over 40 miles an hour, as I understand it. Some of them actually are completely motorized. So I think we need to address that as well, because I'm not sure we should be regulating the regular e-bikes, the ones that people actually have to pedal. But that's my position on it.
I think the ordinance provides for them. It does limit their speed to 15 miles per hour. And the reason it's that is that's the speed that it currently is. All bicycles on the trail are limited to 50 miles an hour. So regardless of what their class is, these same rules would apply.
Now, I understand that, Paul. I'm looking at it from an attorney's perspective. I just think we should define them. We should define the different classes of e-bikes specifically. At least that's my opinion.
Okay.
So,
I thought it was interesting, in speaking with our officer who was in the back of the room here, that one of the e-bikes, which does not have a pedal, actually requires a Class 3 driver's license. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Class C driver's license.
well, that's funny because yesterday I saw 3 kids who obviously were not 16 riding those on Thomas Road at 11 in the morning.
And see, I think that's going to ultimately be the problem, is the enforcement. Catching the kids that are on these is going to be a difficult thing.
Well, that's when we were there at the food truck festival in Rolling Hills last month.
Yes.
And Mr. Brooks and I, we saw, 4 or 5 of them down over the hill. And of course, we're like, should we call the police? Well, of course, by the time the police show up,
Yeah.
the kids are gone anyway. So then you're wasting manpower because the police are coming to try to find these kids who are going to be gone already by the time they get there anyway.
I think the other issue maybe is, this ordinance is directed towards the open spaces and park recreational facilities, and is that going to force some of these adolescents to then go on the open road as opposed to why should I work up, why should I be in the park, and they're enforcing it up here, but they're not enforcing it on Thomas Road or McMurray Road or.
Yeah, but the use of these on those roads
is already
prohibited, and they are permitted to be used in the park and and along the trail. The problem is the way they're being used right now is over top of the grass areas. They're just tearing things up.
Are the officers encountering many of these? I mean, they have to.
You got to come up here.
I mean, I see a few.
I wasn't going to call you up, but
So that's my question. How often are they encountering them, and are they making any kind of contact?
We're getting calls probably daily about the kids on these electric motorcycles. They have no pedals on them. These kids are riding on the road, and they go in excess of 35 miles an hour. And you have seen them all over. And our problem is stopping them. We're not going to chase a motorcycle. We're not going to chase a kid on a motorcycle and then have something bad happen. We can't identify these kids. We're having a hard time identifying them and getting them. It comes down to an educational thing. The parents are buying these kids these bikes because these kids aren't buying them because they're $4,000 or $5,000 bikes at least. And the parents are buying them these bikes and then letting them run rampant in the township. How do we communicate that to the parents? Like, this isn't allowed. They have to have a Class C driver's license to have them, to ride them on the roadway. They can ride them on private property, but they can't ride them on the roadways.
can we get the dealers to make that clear to them that?
I saw there's an online one you can order it online from Canada. So,
I'm sure Amazon probably sells them.
Yeah, you can get them anywhere online. They'll just ship them right to your house.
So really, that's more of a state issue. The state ought to require license plates for them. If you need a driver's license to drive them.
If they're going to ride them on the road, they have to be registered.
Right.
Hopefully that this will do something, because the only other alternative that's going to make this stop is if somebody gets seriously injured.
And
I don't want to see that happen, and I think we don't all want to see that happen, and that's why we're trying to do what we can.
And we're in the same boat. We don't want to see that happen, but it's just inevitable. It's going to happen. One of these kids is going to get seriously hurt or killed on one of these motorcycles, getting hit by a car. We're doing the best we can. We're not going to chase them, because then that's our liability of them getting hurt because we're chasing them. We do what we can.
Yeah.
I'd be in favor of adopting it now and looking at refinements as we might see it necessary.
If you want, if the only change you want to make is the age for the helmet, you could do that as a motion to amend and then adopt it if you wanted.
Does anybody have a problem with that?
No.
Well, we can revisit the issue of the e-bike classification another time, then, I suppose.
we're hoping it doesn't get into litigation with the lawyers having to argue whether it
Well,
was.
that's my concern, that's exactly right.
So I think the age for the helmet came from the state, like, mobility fact sheet.
Is that what's required for a motorcycle?
On a motorized pedicycle, they require anyone under 21 to wear a helmet.
All right, that's-
Same way with, a
Then we
motor
gotta be
scooter. or
consistent.
Yeah,
motorcycle.
we should be consistent, I agree.
Yeah, so that's where that came from.
Would things like those scooters be involved in this?
The electric scooters, so they are governed, I believe, in the ordinance, but they're also through the state. You can't ride an electric scooter anywhere, essentially. I have a couple extra copies of this if council wants to see it. This is on PennDOT's website as well.
So that carries on the township road, PennDOT's requirements,
Right.
township and state.
Yes, so an electric scooter could ride it on a trail or something, like a private property, just not on a roadway or a sidewalk.
But yet in the city of Pittsburgh, they have
They rent
rental
them.
operations for
I said
electric
that.
scooters.
That's a whole different animal down there.
Yeah. I live in it every day.
Does anybody want to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the ordinance number 904, amending section 299 of the Peters Township Code of Ordinances, Article 2, park rules to regulate electric bicycles on township-owned property.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the audience? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 6-0. Next item will be authorization of the appropriate township officials to enter into a settlement agreement with Entech Pemberly Manor LLC.
All right, this is the matter we previously discussed, right? Mr. Smith, you reviewed the settlement agreement, you feel that it's in order?
I believe it's necessary, yes.
All right, I'll make a motion that we authorize the appropriate township officials to enter into a settlement agreement with Entech Pemberly Manor LLC.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, carries 501. Item F will be the award of a contract under CoStar's Cooperative Purchasing Program to install security cameras in Peterswood Park for use by the Peters Township Police Department.
So the Peters Township 2024 budgeting includes the Equitable Sharing Program Fund, which accounts for revenues we received as a result of our participation in the U.S. Food and Drug Administration Task Force. In 2024, the Equitable Sharing Program Fund included an appropriation of $75,000 for the installation of security cameras in Peterswood Park. On September 27th, Dave Davis Communications, a CoStar's vendor, provided the Peters Township Police Department the quotation for security cameras in the park. The amount of that quote was $67,591.62. And it's my recommendation that a council award a contract to Dave Davis Communications.
I move that we award, that the township award a bid for the purchase and installation of the security cameras at Peterswood Park to David Davis Communications for a total purchase price of $67,591.62.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Do we have any plans to do something similar at Peters Lake parking area, which is where I become aware of more break-ins?
That would be an interesting challenge because these are done with cell service, right?
Yes, sir.
So whether or not there's adequate cell service down at the lake, I don't know.
There is not.
Yeah, there's not cell service and there's not the power we need down at the bottom, but our intention for Peters Lake is to put at the entrance plate readers and cameras there where we can have access to some of that stuff. And there's some companies now making solar equipment, things like that, where we can, it won't be as real time as these cameras like in Peters Wood Park, but it would still provide us a way of investigating, incidents that happen down in there, in recording all the places.
Am I mistaken that at least I'm aware of more incidents surfacing in social media about break-ins?
Yeah, Peters Lake is definitely has more, just based on kind of the seclusion of it.
Well,
that we can.
and we've gone through the situation where the trail parking areas were also being victimized. Is that still continuing?
It is, and we have intention of using this equitable share money in a similar way, specifically Pell Pitch Drive, that we've seen a lot of vehicle thefts down there in the last few years. Would like to, it's a similar challenge in power and internet connectivity back to that parking lot, but again, we're hoping to utilize some different companies that have solar equipment, things like that. We're looking into it won't be as robust of a system as Peters would, but it will still provide us, license plate recognition and some video of the cars entering and leaving the park.
That's good.
Okay, thank you.
Can somebody make a motion?
I think it passed.
Yeah, we passed.
Oh, okay. All right.
I thought we already voted on it, didn't we?
Yeah, okay, we did.
Sorry. Payroll and bills. Prior to this evening's meeting, I reviewed the payroll and bills, found them all be in order, and we'll move to accept them.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 6-0. Correspondence, don't see any. Is there anything that anybody would like to discuss on the meeting minutes? Okay, seeing none, go to miscellaneous. Zoning hearing board report. Anything?
Tomorrow, the zoning hearing board meets. There's a 3 or 4 variances up for request.
Oh, the word must be out.
This variance is simply a lot coverage variance. The individual wants to put a pool in. It would take them over the maximum lot coverage area by 0.9%. So they go from 15 to 15.9.
Let's see that one. Which one is that?
That is, I believe that's Cox, 1047-2024.
So when they put the pool in, does that detract from the amount of open space or whatever you call it? Or
Lot coverage, yeah.
Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Because you're only allowed to have 15% lot coverage.
I can't believe they
This goes a little bit over.
And what's their hardship, again?
de minimis, I guess, right?
Well, I mean, you could make the pool a tad
How
smaller,
much smaller
right?
would you have to make the pool to be?
Like 2 inches.
Right?
I know. I'm surprised they even made an application. You'd think someone would just cut it back a hair.
Well, I mean, as we know, those pools, if it's a standard pool, it's prefab, they
predetermined.
come in certain sizes, so you can't cut 2 inches off of.
Five
Thought
You'd
maybe
have to go,
skirt or something.
you'd probably have to go down 3 or 4 feet, I would guess, to get to the next smallest one.
And it doesn't cover count like the border of the pool, like.
Well, it counts all that too, right? The patio around.
That's why I
the
thought
pool.
maybe the skirt could be cut back.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You could cut something back 2 inches, I mean, for 0.9%,
To their credit, they've applied. I'm not sure how the hell the township would ever find out that if they put it in, it was 0.9 over, right?
No, yeah.
how do who goes down there and measures it?
It's not me, it's our zoning officer.
Well, maybe he made a mistake.
The next one is actually, I think, a matter of concern. There's an existing house, and this is on
Thomas,
Thomas Road.
241 Thomas.
And so what they want to do is to create a flag lot, to create a building lot behind the existing house. And to do that, they want to get a variance to reduce the pole portion of the flag lot from 50 feet down to 25 feet.
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
I don't even
I
understand.
mean, how can the zoning hearing board even give them that? Don't we have, I guess you can ask for a variance.
So we can ask for a variance. The question is whether or not you can.
I mean, there was a reason we went to 50 feet on this.
Yeah, I would be curious, depending on where this is at,
Well, I was going to
the
say,
topography, whether you can actually.
what side of Thomas Road is this on?
What's that?
I guess it'd be the south side, southeast,
What's the address again?
241.
Well, if you're going out towards 84 that way, is it on the left or the right? On the right, right? Yeah, no, it'd be on the left. Huh?
Yeah, be
I'm
on the
just
left
trying
if you're heading towards 84.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think which house this would be.
No, I don't.
It's right next to Luke's Farm Phase 2.
Well, how does that house access Thomas Road now?
Wait, is that the old farmhouse?
Yes, it's an old
Right
house.
across, we're right on the flat part there, as you get up to the top.
No, absolutely no.
And I just take it from this drawing that you'd have to have a shared driveway for you.
Yes. Or move the driveway for the one lot.
You have to have 50 feet at the
Is that how the existing home is getting access through that driveway?
Yes.
It's sketched on there?
Yes.
So where would they access then? You'd have two driveways on Thomas Road, right at the crest of the hill?
Or you have a shared driveway agreement.
Sure, John.
But I don't know how this is a hardship. This is,
Yeah, no, we have to go against it. I'll make a motion that we
Oppose.
oppose. Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor of opposing?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Not that
Did
that's going
you
to make
need
any
a
difference.
Did you need an actual motion? on it?
yes, because we're going to take, we'll take a position in front of the zoning hearing on behalf of council. This third one, I actually can understand what they're trying to do. This house, as you can see, as it's proposed under the current zoning, is pushed back into that hillside. So what they're asking for is relief from the 50-foot setback. Houses around it are closer than 50 foot to the road. So what they'd like to do is to pull it down closer to the road.
Is that closer to Bebout?
No, Turkey.
Turkey.
Well, on Turkey Foot, but closer to Bebout than, like,
I don't understand.
Just the one they're building now.
Is this where you're going up Turkey Foot before you get to the top of the hill on the right side there?
Yes.
Like right before you get up to the four-way stop?
Yeah.
Yeah, that they just
Because there was an
started.
old house there, right? that
They
burned
ripped it
down or something
down.
like that?
Yes, there was one that
Yeah.
burned down. I think that's this lot.
Now,
Is this
that
the one
I
Klingen's
wouldn't-
building?
Because I know exactly where you're talking.
Klingen's building this house?
Yeah.
No, it's a
Not burning it
I was gonna
down.
say-
Not burning it down, but-
The builder, I'm sorry.
I
I think the builder's Klingen.
Yeah, that I wouldn't oppose because
Yeah.
you're right, most of the houses that are there now are already closer.
There's nothing around there
Yeah.
on each
Yeah,
side.
and I do think there's the topography creates a hardship.
Now, see, that is the textbook definition of where a variance probably is warranted. Just saying.
Well, yeah, if everything else is different.
You know, that's an actual hardship right there. And it's not going to change the character of the neighborhood either, because if you put the house closer to the road, it's going to be in line
I
with
think
the
the
other.
previous house is probably a lot closer.
I think it was.
Well, his previous house, I think, was only about 20 feet off the road, if I remember correctly.
So we're okay with that one then?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is there another?
Can we do a motion
No.
to say that we support that?
You can if you want, or
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're in favor.
Is there any more? There's four here, but
That's
we're
it.
going to talk about three.
I would be curious.
What's the one on
Mr.
Green Valley?
Solicitor, what role is council playing in a semi-judiciary group?
Oh, you have the ability to take a position with regard to these.
You can be a party in any
Yeah.
of these if you
Yeah.
want to be a party. So you can take the position. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they're a separate board. They're judicial in nature, but you're always by statute a party.
But I think we're a whole lot better off making council's position known to them before, as
They haven't
opposed
listened to us
to
before.
sending John down to the courthouse.
So what about this one with the generator?
That one you actually talked about before.
Yeah.
And it was held over and for the purposes of determining whether there's another location. So
So they want to put it in the front yard,
Yes,
43 feet from the front lot line.
It's a corner lot is where the hardship.
Oh, I know, my dad built the house, I know.
Aha, it's your fault.
So I was just curious where they want to put it. I mean, if none of the neighbors show up and oppose, who cares?
Well, apparently one neighbor did show up and oppose,
Oh.
and that's the reason why it got tabled. The zoning hearing board directed the applicant to look at other locations, which they did, and that they'll provide some of that evidence at the upcoming hearing, but it's still the intention of the applicant to put it where the original location was.
Well, I mean, it all depends where the gas line is.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Your gas line, your breaker box. Okay,
Anything
I
else on
don't,
these?
that's it.
That's it.
Setting a date for the budget amendment hearing.
We'd like to do that at the first meeting in November.
Any opposition to that?
Nope. Fine by me.
That'll be it. Next agenda, any items for it?
Can we have an update on like the fields at the Peters?
Well, the project continues to move along. In terms of the buildings themselves, the block work is complete. The roofs need to be put on. It would appear that for the most part, Field 2 will be done come December, and should be able to have play on it in the springtime. The other field, we're in the process of working with the contractor to determine how it is we can go about taking advantage of the grant that Natalie Mihalik has acquired for us. Probably by the next time we meet, we'll probably be in a position to be able to discuss that with council, what's the best way to move forward with it. It may be, at least for a portion of that work, we're going to have to go out and rebid that project, and what the people at the RACB are telling us is their project has to be completed before we can start the other project. So we have to be able to be in a position to close that project out. Doesn't make sense to me, but
No.
Because that really delays the use of that field.
if that's the case, there would be no way I can envision that it would be available for any games for next spring.
We can't do that.
When's the house on Center Church coming down?
He was out there today, said he could take it down next week. We're trying to get the electricity and the gas shut off, so.
Any other items?
Mention timing for next Monday's meeting.
Well, what time do you want to have next Monday's meeting, or workshop meeting? 7 or 7:30?
7:30.
Okay.
Well, I'm just one person.
Oh,
No, it doesn't matter.
I'm good, whatever.
It doesn't matter to me either.
7:30.
Okay. All right, this meeting is adjourned.